All right, so here we are in beautiful Bend, Oregon. We're on a residential rooftop, and we're getting ready to clean these solar panels here. It's just a small installation, but it is currently March 22nd. So spring has officially just begun, and it's actually the perfect time to get solar panels cleaned. Because of our latitude here in Central Oregon, from April to September is our optimal time of year to make solar energy. So that's the season that you really want to make sure that your solar array is fully functioning and it's got the best access to the sun. Now, we hear from a lot of people that they feel that your solar panels are self-maintaining, that the rain, which we have a little drizzle today, will clean them off. In fact, just about a week ago, this roof was covered in snow, and snow had actually slid off of these solar panels. But they're still not clean. Not sure how well this will show up, but we've got debris from the trees on here. There were some pine needles that we've already blown off. You can kind of see there's what you see down there. There's a few raindrops, but you also actually have dust that's coagulated because of the raindrops on these solar panels. So that dust still isn't coming off despite the rain, despite the snow. So the only way to get that off is by scrubbing it off and then making sure that everything that you scrubbed gets rinsed completely off. There's a few folks that have tried using soaps and scrubbers and squeegees to take debris or soap or soiling off the solar panels. That's not ideal because no matter what you do, when you use soap, it's going to leave residue. That residue is going to be sticky, and it'll end up attracting more dirt, especially since in about 3 months we're going to have our ponderosa pollen season, and that's just going to coat everything. And so if you have soap on there, or soap residue, it's going to be sticky and hold on to a whole lot more pollen than necessary. So we're just going to go through a few tools of what you should look for with a professional solar panel cleaning service. It's not just a hose. A lot of folks are told also by their installers that they can just wash them off with a garden hose. We highly recommend you don't do that. Using a garden hose is fine. It will get a majority of the dirt off, but the thing is that garden hose water is totally untreated. So it's going to carry all the minerals that are suspended in the water with it and leave those behind when the water evaporates. So you're going to have calcium, and in our area what's really bad is the silica in the water. That silica is basically dissolved glass. It comes from the lava rock in our underground aquifers. And when it gets onto a glass surface like these tempered glass panels, which is what solar panels are covered with, it actually bonds to the glass and can't be removed. It can be ground off, but that grinding process is going to generate heat and most likely will void the warranty on your solar panels. Maybe 1 or 2 spray downs is fine, but over time you will start to see hard water spots develop on these panels, and really it won't ever come off. And everything that is on top of the glass is actually going to block the sun and prevent the panels from working at their optimal efficiency. So one thing that we always do, we check the inverter before we start a job and make sure that there's no trouble codes. One thing especially that we're looking for on the inverter, usually it's in your garage or on the side of the house, we want to make sure that there's no electrical issues in the system, because we're going to be working. Oh, it looks like we are still on. So because we're working on what is essentially an electrical generator and we're going to be putting water on it, we really want to make sure that there's no issues in the wiring system. This racking system here is grounded so that if something goes wrong and for some reason electricity starts pushing through the outside of the wires, it'll actually ground out to this aluminum racking system and hopefully go to ground. However, if we touch that while we're up here and it's grounding out, then we become the next conductor. So we want to make sure that nothing's going wrong electrically. So for that reason, we use professional grade electrical tools. This is a digital clamp meter, and unlike a lot of digital clamp meters that residential electricians carry, this one can detect DC voltage because the energy produced by a solar array comes out as DC. It's the same type of electricity that a battery makes, but it has to go through that inverter to become AC voltage, which can be used by your residential electronics. It's the same type of power that comes out of the plug. So this meter can measure the DC voltage or the DC amperage and current in the wires. So we actually take this little clamp and we find a wire here with enough slack in it where we can get that clamp around. And we just do this one or two areas just to make sure and see it's clamped there, and then we can read the meter to make sure that there's 0 amperage flowing through the wires, and we know that there's no short in the wiring that maybe the inverter even didn't detect. Again, just to be sure, before we got up here to work, we also disconnected the system from the electrical grid, again just in case there was something wrong in the system and the power grid were feeding back into the solar panels and potentially creating another source of electricity that could electrocute us. So those are just the basic electrical precautions that we take before we get started. Now, as far as our physical safety while we're working on a roof, anyone who's working on a roof, regardless of what type of work, needs to be wearing a full body harness. So it's not a rock climbing harness. It's similar in design. However, it doesn't just attach around your waist and your legs, but it also goes up and covers your shoulders. So essentially, even if you flipped upside down, you couldn't fall out of the harness. Then we're using an industrial grade rope and an industrial grade fall protection device. So these are the same type of equipment that we use when we do high-rise window cleaning. Now moving on to the tools to do the cleaning, we have our water-fed brush that we use to actually scrub the panels. Let's flip this around. Here, this brush, it's made with soft nylon fibers and boar's hair. So this is actually comes from pigs. So they're all soft, they're not going to scratch the panels, but they will agitate and get off any of the dirt that's on there. And then we've got this yellow tubing which is connected back to our truck, and that truck has a filtration system on it which is taking tap water, which you could be putting on your panels it's just the same thing that you use, or the tap water that you have in your house. But it has minerals in it, like we said before. So our filtration system on the truck actually uses physics to remove it's actually a non-chemical process. It's physically pulling them and attracting the minerals that are in the water and pulling them out, and then the only thing that comes out on the other side is pure water. So we clean with our soft bristle brush and pure water. So we'll just show you a quick little run through of how we clean one module. Get the water going here. So on this particular roof, it makes sense for us to work from the top down. On some roofs, we can be in a position where we can work from a ladder, but this one does require us to be physically up on the roof to do a good job. So we're just going to use this bristle brush with water flowing out, and we're just agitating the dirt off of the panel. This system actually is so clean that we even use it to clean windows. It works so well at removing all of the minerals and drying totally spot-free that we can clean your window glass with the exact same system. So now that we've thoroughly scrubbed the panel, and usually dirt builds up right there along the edge, so we always want to make sure that's cleaned off. Now we can just do a quick final rinse, and that module is optimally clean to get going into the rest of the peak solar season. So we'd love to help out anyone. If you have any questions about our process, if you're curious about what it would take for us to do your home or your commercial or even industrial application, we'd be happy to discuss that with you. And you can always visit our website, masterproclean.com, and you can fill out the form and even get your own custom estimate right there, and then we can talk afterwards. All right, have a great day.